We all enjoy a beautiful sunset, but little do we realize the relevance of light versus darkness. Soon, this entire terrain will be dark. These forests, these mountains, everything will be completely immersed in the darkness. But what is the story of light and dark? What is the celebration that we constantly do where we celebrate the victory of light over darkness? There is a relevance, there is a story. What is this story? There is a war within, a war which causes light and darkness. We often consider it to be enlightenment. But what is this war? What is this war of the sunshine and the night? Well, it is a war within, a war of the mind versus the intellect. We human beings don't realize this. There is a constant war within us, and the mind is bombarding us with thoughts that are primarily emotional. But we have an intellect. The intellect doesn't agree to the mind. It discriminates. It asks the question, what is right, what is wrong, what is dark, what is light. That is the difference between what is wrong and what is right. Yes, the intellect discriminates. And if we win the war, then we win the emotional battle. The emotional battle can create so much stress, so much worry, so much fear, anxiety. We don't realize that this constant war within us can destroy us. Remember, there is a war inside you. Inside you, there is a bigger war than the Mahabharata. Yes, the war inside you, on one side is the mind, the other side is the intellect. The mind is trying to push you to think emotional thoughts, to react. The intellect stops you. It tells you to be logical, to discriminate, to then respond. Therefore, it is for us to be able to use our intelligence. If we win the war within, we push the mind down. This is a game we play on the table. But inside of us, we need to push the mind down. If the mind pushes the intellect down, if the mind reigns supreme, we become emotional beings. What happens? We often consider that we make decision with our heart, not with our head. Actually, making a decision with the heart means becoming a slave to the mind. And this is a disaster. Therefore, our challenge is to win the war within. The mind versus the intellect. The intellect must be the victor. The intellect must win. And we must defeat the mind. The mind that is so emotional, the mind that is not logical, the mind that stops us from discrimination, the mind that bombards us with thoughts, up to 50 thoughts a minute, creating fear, worry, anxiety, hate, revenge. The intellect, it makes us discriminate. It makes us silent. It makes us think, what is the truth? It helps us win the battle against the mind. It helps us realize the truth. It helps us realize that we are not this body. This body will die. This body was one day a small baby when it was born. Before that, an embryo. And before that, a zygote, just a cell. The mind doesn't think this. The intellect does. One day the body will die. And people will say, he passed away. The intellect discriminates and understands the meaning of death. The mind cries, oh. The intellect is able to discriminate. The intellect asks the question, Where is the mind? I cannot find. The mind is nothing but an illusion. It appears to be, but in reality, it is nothing but a bundle of thoughts. When will we realize that the mind is an imposter? It's an illusion. When the intellect comes alive, we will realize. We will realize that we are the divine soul. And when we realize we are the divine soul, we are liberated from misery. We are liberated from the cycle of death and rebirth. And we are united with the divine. Win the war within. Don't let your mind defeat you. Use the intellect to put the mind in its place and be a victor.